You're all welcome to our 71st book review. Thank you for coming. I'll just talk briefly about Laterna and then we'll look at a few past reviewers while we are waiting the moderation. Once she comes, we would like to. So Laterna Ventures is a leading literature and lifestyle company established over 30 years, about 30 years ago. And with a focus on customer service, Laterna was transformed from a Christian bookshop to a lifestyle company. Now, what will you say by a lifestyle company? We have various products. I'll come back to the products. What do? We have access to over 100,000 titles of books and several other products. We are both a retailer and wholesaler. We currently run a book club for children every last Saturday of the month and for adults every last Thursday of the month. This is the 72nd one, and we started about 3-4 years ago when there was COVID. We thought we should start something to empower people. This adult book club holds once a month since 2024. But sometimes, occasionally, we have 2 books to review. But when we started with 3 books every month, because then that was during COVID, when people were still at home. What are the other range of products that Laterna has? You can look around for those that are in here. We have the stationery section, we have the children's toys, we have children's books, we have fiction, non-fiction, we have the gift bags, we have the gift wraps. We also have lifestyle books on health, on wellness, on environment. We have books, autobiographies, we have biographies, we have educational books, we have Montessori toys. In case you have special children, we have various toys for Montessori. We also have a large range of journals. We have the large ones, the small ones, the medium ones, different colors, different sizes. We do about 600 types of journals. And we could customize them for various organizations. Now look at the section on the Christian area. We have various Bibles. We have the life application, we have study Bibles, we have children's Bibles, we have wedding Bibles. A large range of Bibles. And then I'll move on again to the section, the business books. The business books have books on leadership, on teamwork, on lifestyle. We also have books on lifestyle and healthy living, divine healing. We have books that can help you in case you're in a situation and you want to come out of grief management. We have Christian books from various authors, Nigerians and foreign authors. I would encourage you, please visit our website, visit Laterna on 1611 Adiola Hopewell. So I'll quickly look at, before I forget, we also have frames, plants, we have gifts. If you want gifts, you have candles, we have diffusers, and lifestyle things that you can use at home. And a lot of gifts now are being sold in Laterna. We have Ankara, so locally, a large range of Ankara. So you can come in here, you want a gift for someone, please come into Laterna. So I'll quickly run through our reviewers in the last 3 years, one at a time. 4 disciplines of execution. Benga Polayo. What every man wants in a woman. Do you have a challenge? You don't even understand your husband? That's a book. Or your wife? That's a book to buy. Eat This and Leave. That was by Dr. Abby Abraham. And this was a book by Don Calvert. I was reading it in the plane once, and there was a white man coming and passing by and says, eat this and leave. There's some things you always eat and you don't leave. I said, but just read this one by Don Calvert. He writes very books. Because he has another book, What You Don't Know, that's killing you. So you need to get the book. Once you get the book, things are hidden in books. And we know that books empower, books are powerful, books enlarge your course, books gives you information, books take you travel to where you haven't been before. And number 4 reviewer was Dr. Hussein Udo, who was on dichotomy of leadership. He works with Dangote Group, Dangote Academy. And next one is, please help, please. I think I have the list here somewhere. And we had Mrs. Okwerapo, 5 Love Languages of Children. Lamde Balogo, Daniel Plan. Nika Ogulesi, Teamwork 101. That's a book by John Maxwell. So if you're a John Maxwell fan or John Maxwell coach, that's a book to read. What would I say about Sister Okwerapo? She has done 2 book reviews on children because she has a passion for children. Lamde Balogo, you know, she's one that she doesn't eat meat. But Daniel Plan is about well-being and eating well. Nika Ogulesi, we know Rough and Tumble. What happens with our reviewers? We tell them, what is it that you want to impact on others? Or what have you been through? And what that you know that others need to learn from? Nika said teamwork. So that was a weakness she turned to a strength. How would she work with people? Nana Odeja, The Purpose-Driven Life by Rebirth. She's here presently. Put her hands together for her. She has always supported us as a moderator on the book review. Well done. Fadika Adepetu, you need to read that book little by little. How I got healed little by little with 10 types of sicknesses. That's Fadika Adepetu. We have a book here. Okay, Nelema. We all know former minister Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. And then Dr. Shola Folalade, he wanted to talk about leadership. How successful people lead. How do they lead? You want to know? That's a book to get. Udo Okonjo, Tolls of Titan, that's a leadership book. And we all know Udo, she's real estate. Next, please. Okay, African Farmer Mogaji. He changed his name to that name, African Farmer Mogaji, from his real name, and that's his name everywhere. Because he wanted to impact on farming by revolution, about food security. Nikki Adesi was about Hallelujah Diet. We've all heard about that book, Hallelujah. It's also about healthy living. Femi Edu, Promised Land, Barack Obama, that's a biography, autobiography. So Femi did that. Pastor Kojo Imade, this was so good. Jordan Klopp, we asked him what book you would have expected, but he wanted to talk about leadership and teamwork by Jordan Klopp. Bimbo Shomolu, The Love of Family, written by her. Odunayo Sawyer, Attitude 101. Attitude can change everything in an organization. Attitude can take you where you don't even imagine. So some people have wrong attitudes, positive attitude, negative attitude, but attitude can actually be a barrier to where you want to get to. And then we move on to the next. Human Zacchaeus, God's waiting room. Are you waiting or you have a friend waiting for the fruit of the womb? God's waiting room 1, 2, 3, 4. We have it here at Laterna. If we don't, they will always get it. The Truth We Hold by Kamala Harris. Yemisi Ayeni, who is the current chair of, I think, Dangote Sugar. Ndidi Uwonelu, and she was also a chair for Shell Pension then. She said it. Ndidi Uwonelu, she was director of Nestle, and her own passion is about food. Food entrepreneurs in Africa. She does other things, but why can't we have food security in Nigeria? And then we have Kende Wani, who is the group head of Meadowhall Group. And the leader's greatest asset is the people you work with. She has been able to take Meadowhall from nothing, from 25 children to 1,600, 500 children. And with the group, she's also in charge of Lagos Prep School in Ikoyi. How did she go about it? That secret you can get on our YouTube channel to get the book. Sunday Olise, that footballer, all the cities to refuse. That was his story. You don't know his story, which we're doing today. What is Oremeyi's story? She's going to share it today. Oyeka Oweno, my father's daughter. God bless her. May her soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. And then when he had to, because of demand, she had to come back and do part 2 of the leader's greatest asset. BC Adeyemi, the current chair of Winbees, she did success is a choice. You choose to be successful. And then get fit and live. You want to be slim and be fit. Get that book. And that was by Don Colbert. So some people are smiling. They were, yes. I came back. Leaders eat last. They don't eat first. Leaders eat last. Who was the director of Fidelity Bank? Bridget Oyefeso Odusami. Built for the storm. Are you going through any form of storm? She went through a storm where the roles changed and her husband had a stroke suddenly at the age of 40, and she had to now be the, the leader in the house. Yes, but you know what? She was patient with him, and she wrote everything. 10 years, story how he eventually could not speak ABC and they had to teach him ABC and 1, 2, 3. When she was doing the review, she was crying. But you know, that pain led to gain. He's back on his feet, he's back again. So you need to read it. So some of these authors are available in case you are going through any of this and you need to speak to them. We would always connect you to them. Make today count. Don't waste time every day. A lot of us waste time. Productivity. Make every day count. Do something every day that is productive. Don't waste time. Fantastic book, transformed my life. Transformed how I work. You know. Then Mrs. Taiwo, she lost a daughter at a checkpoint. So she was one of those that promoted, you know, a lot of lights, traffic lights in Lagos State. She was one of the people that made sure that Lagos State put traffic lights because that happened to her daughter, and that's why she wrote that book, My Mother's Daughter. And then the Rookie Entrepreneur by Funke Meadow. Winnie Nwokedi, about prescription for life, is also about healthy living. How do you live healthily? Their prescription food is medicine, medicine is food. And then we move on to next one. Next slide. Next slide, number 34. Okay. Good. Mr. Emeka Undu. Everybody knows Emeka Undu. See an idealism. Leadership 101. To be a leader, you don't have to wait till you are a leader before you learn leadership skills. You start from when you are young or when you have a small company. Mrs. Alakija, we all know her, one of the richest women in the world, not only in Nigeria. Blossoming, that's her story. She was trying to share her story. Why am I blossoming? You have to open the book or go to our YouTube channel. Bukola Smith, current MD of FSDH, the power of habits. You see, in the next 6 months, please let me know when the moderator comes. Whenever she comes in. Just show her to me. Okay, okay. So Bukola Smith, the power of habits. Habits can change things. Nano Alejai Execution. Our iceberg is a book on leadership, Sonny Enebi, leading in tough times. It was tough last year, so that was a book that we had to review. And then we have Aswe Ugodalu of Bawa and Ugodalu. How successful people think. Do they think like us? They think, there's a way they think, strategic thinking. Get that book. Yetunde's U&A Zacchaeus, that is an eventful life. How she went from a lawyer to a banker and now an event planner. And also she impacts lives. And then maybe Skoko Kalanga, who is also, her book was, this is Pastor Debris. We have a lot of those books sitting on the shelves here about various individuals. Tumish wrote to me, some of many parts an entrepreneur, one pair another go. How to impact my younger self. George Onofoko, Atomic Habits, this is about habits. Habits can change things. When you see someone's habits in a day, you can decide how the person is going to be in a few years' time or a few months. Bola Mateloko, she's speaking about excellence. Chike Onya, emotional intelligence. Ego Orino, manage your time. When you manage your time and you respect time, then you're able to manage your life. Pollution Badamosi, unleash your superpowers. All of us have potentials and a gift. Biola Salami, the peak performance woman's opinion. Chike Onya, how to be intelligent without being stupid, is also a book on emotional intelligence. Dynamics, Intersections of Economics by Femi Ojumo. Kiari Buka, wow, he was the director of Inlats up here. His own was engaging. Malcolm Gladwell, Blink. He's coming back to do Blink before the end of the year. Blink 2. So he says it will come. Dr. Patrick Ejore, that was Eat This and Live. About also healthy living, divine living, eating healthy. Food is medicine. Toyin Asada, Beyond Handshake. And then Tunde Palashe, start with why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing this job? Why are you doing this business? Mukhtar Mohammed, Secrets of a Millionaire's Mind. And as I begin to round off, Tayo Pakore, beautiful book, Abike, The Unlikely Oil Merchants, How They Became an Oil Merchant. These are the owners of NU Oil. And she wrote 3 books. And she said to me, Auntie, Shemope, mi o kawito, but I've written 3 books. So someone that trained herself, that didn't even wasn't so educated, but eventually helped herself, educated herself, and wrote 3 books in 2 years or 1 year. She said she wrote the 3 books all in 1 year. So the end your story, get that book. Omaumi, Akingbowe. And she's an only child. So Abika is her mom. And I think she has about 6 children. So Oremeyi Akah, oops, the client's upset. That's the current ED of Wimbies. Why is the client upset? Customer service. And then Allah will see, are they with blind sites? What are the blind sites? Just about, how many more? Yeah, next quickly. Please roll up. Yes. Brand of a brand. Do you have a personal brand? If you don't have a personal brand, you need to brand yourself or brand your company. Read that book. And then we have the transformational leader for previous MD of Wema Bank, how to transform Wema Bank, Ademola Adegbisi. And then we have Genius Makers, which is about AI. Okeonuzo, Kings and Priests unto God, a Christian book. Dele Ogun, Culprits, Apostle John Enenema, another book, Laws of Universe, Life Planning. And as we round up, Chike Kalu, The God Factor in Marriage. We have a lot of Christian books, and that's a book on marriage. Who is using your salary? Why your boss prefers your colleague? So if you are watching your colleague play, he's actually using your salary. So the person is wasting time and you are working. He's using your salary. Unkoyorapo, Shining Stars. About our children are shining stars. And ways women lead well. Chinyere Almona, who is the current DG of Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and Mrs. Ibu. She spoke about her oceanic story. And today, in the 72nd session, we had Gloria Jorota Paul. She just did a review of all our books. So today we have Oremeyi Akah. Her 21-year story. Oremeyi, energetic, stayed on the job for 20 years, 21 years. Why did she stay there? What pushed her? Was she motivated herself? Self-motivation. How did she go from here to there? There are some secrets. Please sit back as you learn today. Please could I invite Stella Unwa Echu, who is an investor relations professional and financial literacy advocate with experience in banking, investment banking, and tech startup. She's a first class honors. Please sit down.
Thank you.
And she also has a master in media and communication. She also has a degree in public administration. Also a business admin. She's a chartered accountant. She's an associate of accounting tech. She's also associate of Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, associate National Institute of Marketing Nigeria, Advertising Regulatory Practitioners Association, associate Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Can you see? She's here, there. Professional member, Institute of Information Management. She's a fellow of Institute of Management Consultants. She's a certified management consultant. She's a certified data protection officer. She's just reading. Member of Wimbies. She's bold and she's into personal transformation. Stella Life Show on YouTube and Stella Moving School. So we all welcome Stella, and Stella is energy, creative energy, committed to helping individuals emerge awesomely. Stella, I'm going to hand over to you to introduce Oremeyi so that I don't take your job from you. But Oremeyi is a sister, younger sister, friend, professional, and she drives people. First time I listened to her, I found that she was a driver, both in ministry and also professional. Thank you everyone for listening.
Please a round of applause for VIP. Please, you can make it louder. I appreciate her for a wonderful work. Thank you so much. We want to welcome each and every one of you. Please welcome the person who sits at your left and at your right. Tell them you're welcome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. You know, there are several things you have been doing this time, but you decided to be here, and we deeply appreciate your time. And this is going to be a very, very great time for us. And so Oremeyi has brought us here. She's the reason why we are here today, and I'm just reading her glowing profile. Oremeyi Akah is a passionate leader. She's dedicated to faith, service, and youth empowerment. She plays an active role in supporting her husband in overseeing a growing church community committed to nurturing spiritual growth and strengthening lives. Driven by a deep love for Africa's potential, she founded Africa's Build Africa, a non-governmental organization focused on equipping African youths with the mindset and resources to become solution providers in their communities. I think this is a good place to clap. Through this, she continues to inspire and empower the next generation of leaders. Alongside her ministry and NGO work, Oremeyi is the Chief Customer Experience Officer at InterSwitch, where she has built a distinguished 20 years plus one, that's 2 decades in the financial and technology industry. And if you recall what 2 decades is, it means that the industry was still in its infant stage. It was just fledgling. She was part of the people who launched into the unknown. Some of us want to know before we launch into it. With a background in engineering and an MBA from the University of Cambridge, she has led groundbreaking projects, including implementing the first MasterCard EMV processor in West Africa. Please. Above all, she is a devoted wife and mother to 3 sons, gracefully balancing her corporate, faith, and service-driven responsibilities with an unwavering commitment to making a lasting impact. With a round of applause, please make welcome Oremeyi Akah, the author of 2 Decades and a Dream. Welcome, ma'am. And we also want to welcome all of our viewers online. We do hope that you can see and hear us clearly. Please do well to engage. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box. We'll be happy to take all of your questions. Please enjoy, and we do hope that you experience no glitch as we go on in the conversation this afternoon. Once again, it's so good to have you. Welcome. So how do you feel about your review today?
All right. Hello. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by appreciating my friends, family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you to Laterna for this platform, for this opportunity. I am looking forward to today, and I want to really thank you. I know today is a traffic day. Getting here was quite tough, and I know today is a busy day. I have meetings. I've had meetings in the morning. I have meetings in the afternoon. So I don't take it for granted that you are here today. And like Stella said, I look forward to engaging and all of us living here with increased wisdom and knowledge. So let's do this. Thank you again.
Thank you for that opening remark. How many of us have read the book? Can I see signs? How many of us have the book? You're getting it today. Okay. I really want to encourage everyone here to get the book. I read the book in 48 hours. I say because I like reading. But the truth is, when you start reading the book, you don't want to drop it. Because she was very vulnerable, sharing her life. Like, this is her life. And I find it very fascinating that you spent 2 decades, so you're still there in the same organization. And you know, I heard a lot of people complain about my own generation. I'm a millennial, but then the Gen Z. I have a 7 years career and I'm in my 4th organization. I know that, right? And I'm like, she's done 2 decades in one organization. There is definitely something that we need to learn from her. And so the first chapter says getting started. And Oremeyi starts with the story of her NYSC experience. And there we also see her internship experience. But what I would like to know is, what was it that was sold to you at the beginning that made you start this journey?
Thank you. Like she said, I finished school. I studied in Uniben. I studied electronics engineering, so I'm an engineer. And my classmates, so so I finished school, and I always say the day I dropped my project, I had a panic attack because I had graduated, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So 99% of engineering graduates go to the oil industry. I didn't want to go to the oil industry. Why? I had done my internship in Shell, and it's a great company. But I just felt I would be a number. I wanted to make impact. And my son wants to work in the oil industry, and I hope he does get in. But for me, that was not just it. So I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know what I wanted. So I had a cousin that said, you know what, why not just look around, IT is coming up. Then Shell had access to the internet. My cousin used to work in Shell. So he said, just start building interest in information technology and you never know. So when I finished NYC, I started some reading before I graduated. Once I graduated, I had done my internship in a company here in Lagos, Telnet. Telnet used to be on Kufo Abayomi. And I met a man, and now this man, it turns out that he became the founder of InterSwitch, Mitchell Elegbe. So Mitchell said, oh, you're finishing school. When you finish school, contact us. Now when he says contact, I would always like to say there was no GSM then, so it was totally landline. So the day when I got posted, I said, where will I serve? Where will I serve? I said, let me call Mitchell. So I got a landline, I called him and he said, okay, come over to the office. Long and short, he told me that actually Telnet is thinking of a project. I would like to join the project team. I was like, I just want to serve. Of course I want to join the project team. Like, I don't care what you're doing as long as it's a legitimate job and I can sign my clearance paper. So for me, that was it. I didn't really know what they were talking about. So he said, I ran some tests, HR, did some interviews. And then long and short, they said, you got the job. And that's when I asked, what's the job? And they said, you know, we're going to allow people get cash from machines. Now, that's an ATM. At that time, there was no point of reference in my brain because there was no ATM. I think Equity Bank had one ATM somewhere, but that was it. There was no reference. So I was like, and you know, if it's now someone says ATM, you just Google. I didn't know what ATM meant. So that was even part two problem. But I didn't want to say I don't know what ATM means before they would think I'm a lodo. So I just said, oh yeah, right. So he said, and even POS. I was like, what? What's POS? So in other words, I entered, I just said, okay. So he said, show up at work on Monday. So I came, entered the project office, there was a massive machine in the room. It was an ATM. If you've not seen an ATM outside the world, it's mighty. So long and short, work was come in every day, read books, and just try to make it happen. So you asked me a question, what was sold to me? Now, what was sold? Now, Mitchell is still my boss till today. I report to him and I respect him very deeply. He himself, all he had was a vision, but the vision was very real. We want to solve our own problem. At that time, the problem we pointed was people cannot easily access cash. We want to fix it. And I was excited to be able to be a part of a team that could solve a real problem. And so that was the first thing that made me inquisitive. Again, NYSC, you have room to play around, so you can take a risk. But what made me stay, so this is actually my 23rd year, November I'll be 23 years in InSwitch. Wow. What made me stay is the fact that, so for example, today we're talking ATMs. Today you're using a mobile app. I remember the very first website in Nigeria that accepted a card payment. That was the first time ever. And you could verify your card PIN online. It has never happened before because in the US you don't need PIN. In the UK you don't need PIN online. So the summary is, it is humbling to actually be part of a team that is doing things for the first time ever in Africa. And you are not just doing it for valuation, you are doing it to solve real problems. That today you can send money to the village. I remember when we sold the idea of real-time payments to banks. It told us for jazz. They said, how can you move money from one bank to another? It won't go through clearing, it won't go through a check, it won't go through, it's not possible. And we did it, and it was immediate. And we said, what? But today we do it. It's powering our economy. So what has made me stay? Africans need to solve their own problems. And it will take us to do it. That's what has made me stay.
Wow. Please, a round of applause for that response. Very powerful response. You know what I really love about your story is that you entered the future before we entered the future. I mean, you have encountered an ATM, and then we were coming 5 years later to encounter that. I also like the fact that you mentioned that you were focused on solving Africa's real problems, and not for valuation. That's very deep because a lot of people are creating to exit. A lot of people are creating to sell. A lot of people are creating to do IPO. But here you are, you're not even thinking about that. You're thinking of solving the real problems. And the good thing is when you solve real problems, whether you like it or not, income will follow. Impact will follow. Because money follows problems. Anywhere there's a solution, there is bound to be money. And I really appreciate that you're putting impact first and thinking about Africans. Wow. I know I've read the book, but being here and hearing it again with so much energy and realness and vulnerability is truly delivering. Yes, like a deliverance. Because so many of us have ideas in our head and we're thinking it's not going to put money on the table. How far reaching is it going to go? I'm sure you can see that this is a true picture of a solution that is future forward. Again, because you're one of the first people at InterSwitch, you've had the opportunity to do so many things first. Okay. You've had, if you're going to write a story, another story, like a sequel to this, I think it should be first of first. Because you have done things for the first time, things that people haven't done. You've had to pivot, you've had to transition, you've had to, shift, like shifting gears, like you call it in your book. What was that thing that made transition easy for you? Because you never said no. I've not seen where in the book you said they gave me this offer and I said no. Except the one that had to do with you traveling when you had your MBA and you didn't take that. That was the only no. But every other thing you said yes to. Why?
Okay. Saying yes is a very... Okay, first of all, I'll say I'm honored to work in a team I trust. And I always say, we spend more of our time at work than at home. So it's important that, work is not a part of your life. It's very important. Your work must tie into your personal purpose. And I feel people do themselves a great injustice when they work at jobs they hate. It's to me, it is bondage. You shouldn't do that. So first of all, the fact that the team I work with, I've been able to build trust. And why? Because over the years, when I joined InterSwitch, we were 7. Now in Nigeria, we're 1,300. We're in Kenya, Ghana, and other places. Kenya, Uganda, and other places. So as we've grown, why was it easy to? You said how easy was it to transition? Transition is not easy. But when you are doing it with a team that you trust, with people that got your back, it makes it easier. So as I said, I was an engineer. I am an engineer, but today I don't do real engineering work. In fact, someone said I should turn in my engineering certificate. Yeah, so when I joined, I was doing real engineering work, at least at a bit, networking, drawing cables. Then we needed people to do implementation. I remember my boss saying, Oremeyi, you're going to move into the implementation team because that's what we need now. At that point, it wasn't really about, okay, this is what I want to do, which is important. But there was a team goal. We just went through the talk of Team 101. That was what the team needed. I did implementation. Then I remember when we had a major need in training, and we needed people that would learn the course to train others because it was a new industry. There was need for knowledge. Again, he said, Oremeyi, you're vocal, and can you take up? Just try, become a trainer. So at that point, again, it was a response to a need. And again, it's in line with the team vision. Why not? When we were starting the very first MasterCard processing in Africa, again, need, who we step in, who we help, so that was it. So I'll say transitioning is not easy, but when you do it with the right reason, for the right reason, and in the right space, it makes it easier. That's the word. That's what I'll say. So even though you say yes, being able to keep true to the yes you say is more important than just saying it initially. So I'll say the team that I work in have made it easier for me too. Thank you.
Fantastic. I like how you've worked in just one organization, but you've had so many lives in that organization. And it's really beautiful, because I think one of the reasons why a lot of people leave the organizations where they work is because sometimes the organization doesn't allow them to evolve. and sometimes the leader doesn't even pay attention to see the hidden potential. I feel like Michelle saw something, and he was just helping to bring out the you in you, like layers of onions. He was just unraveling and saying, I think Oremeyi can do this, I think Oremeyi can do this, and you never fed his hand to use that kind of a word. Yeah, sometimes we make mistakes, but it's a learning phase. It's part of the transitioning, and I'm really grateful for that for you.
I just want to say, so there's a chapter when I talked about when I headed operations. That was my most difficult role, and it was hard. It was very hard. And when you just said I didn't fall his hand, so I'm just saying that a story, and I tried to be real in this story because I wanted to write it also for young people that are building their careers. It's not always glam and lights. There were nights when I cried. There were times when I got queries. There were times when I felt the hand of the industry. Abidemi is here. There were times when things didn't go well, and the box stopped at my table and I made a mistake. There were times. So it's not all about that. It's also about being able to say, in the midst of this, Oremeyi, what are you going to do better? Are you going to stay down and be sad and be rebuked? And there were promotion opportunities I missed because I just didn't step up enough. So it's not that it has all been glam and good, but the growth journey has been real. That's what I would say. It has been real.
Yes, I was going to come to that because I read a couple of times where you first started, you were crying, then later you were no longer crying because you're not a big girl. And you found better ways to, handle it. Particularly when it comes to change. We know change is not easy. Yeah. And a lot of people would always experience change or would be the one to lead change management. What is the strategy that you sort of found for managing change? Because there are some people here who would experience it very soon, whether they know it intentionally or not. How do you manage change? How do you get your team that you manage to also believe in that change that you're trying to implement, particularly in operations, when you get operations, and now that you're in customer service and customer experience, and you spoke about how you read much more than you've ever read in the whole time in the operation.
All right, we talk of leading change. I'll say the very first part about leading change that for me works for me is being real with yourself. Okay, so at every point when I did it well, and I'll say, well, there are times I didn't do very well, but when I did it well, like when I was country manager for Verve and I wrote about that, even in operations, the first thing is you have to internalize the change you want to go through. Sometimes we are so busy with the external factors, the people, the work ahead. But if you do not start the change mind, that change mindset does not start in you and with you. What are your strengths? Everybody is not you. But we live in a world where sometimes we have to be, especially in leadership, especially as you grow in your career, where you almost have to fit into a mold. And it's right. There are some things that are basic that I expected of you as a leader, as a responsible person. But honestly, you must never lose the uniqueness of you. What makes it work for me? So I remember one of my job transitions, I sat with a coach, and that's again speaking to reaching out for help. But that's another story. And she said, Oremeyi, the times when you did very well, what worked for you? And I was able to say, okay, I remember that situation, I did this right, this. She said, okay, so replicate that in this situation. So I was able to find my own personal success formula. And I carried that within me. So every time I need to make a change, share a vision with the team, whatever. There was a LinkedIn post I wrote recently, because I write on LinkedIn, and I talked about a team, recently my team got an award in our staff meeting, and I talked about it. And I talked about how the team had a negative trust score, because we measure trust in leadership, in Instreet. We measured how you trust your leaders. My team had a negative trust score 2 years ago, and it's raw feedback. It's anonymous, but it's very raw. And I had to sit with it, and Mitchell and myself went through. He said, Oremeyi, you've seen it, you need to fix this, fix that. And I did. And last year, we got the most improved in leadership trust. So why? Because I was able to connect with my personal success formula. So that is what has helped. And that was what I would say for anybody. Change is never easy. But if you know what works for you, who are you? What are you bringing to the table? What are the conditions that you need to put in place? Sometimes you need to just take a break, take a retreat, lay out the facts you need. Some people are very fact driven. You need to have those facts. Go for it if that's what will work for you. But never find yourself just running along assuming the change will be okay. No, never assume. Assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. Make it work for you. How? By bringing your own personal success formula. What is that? What are the things that work for you? Put that in place. Then you'll be able to share a vision you are convinced about, because people can smell insincerity when you're not being sincere as a leader and as a person. People can detect it, and so you'll be able to bring your authentic self forward, and that usually always wins. I said usually because of course some other things may come in, but that's where I'll stop for now. I hope that
I like that. Get your own personal success formula. What works for A might not work for B, or it might just require a little tweaking, right? So if you want to find out that formula, you can come for consultancy session. But you can ask here, we'll be happy to share. But afterwards, we'll send you our invoice when you reach out for consultation. So another reason why I love this book is because it's very balanced. Hardly would you read some book and find references made to marriage or relationship. But in this book, we are fortunate to meet Oremeyi's partner and how it transitioned first from boyfriend and then husband and then father. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because we have a mixed audience, and even people who watch this session up afterwards, I think I should ask on their behalf. What role do you think having the right partner plays in having a successful career? And what are those top 3 traits besides tall, dark, and handsome, or light, short, and whatever it's gonna be? What should we look out for? I'm saying we because I'm asking on my behalf as well.
Okay,
what are those things that we need to look out for?
All right, thank you. How important is having how important or how influential is your partner on your success? So there's someone that said it in a very real way. She said, if you marry the wrong person, or she said, if you marry the wrong person, count yourself out. Just forget it. Now, that's a strong statement. But the truth of the matter is, who you marry goes a very long way. I don't know how to say, in affecting everything about your life. Someone said recently that marriage is a business decision. And the person said it with respect. He's not saying it's a naira and copper decision, but it's business because it affects, before you do a business, say, is it profitable? What's the ROI? You have to ask, what is the ROI? What's the return on this investment? Because that marriage is an investment. And I know people say, oh, if it doesn't work, I walk out. Well, I don't believe in that. I don't believe you should walk out on marriage. I believe it should work, and I believe you can make it work. And we're not talking here about divorce and all. I know people have gone through real situations, and I'm not disdaining that. But I'm just saying that if you enter with a mindset of it must work, then you need to make sure that you must understand that for that person has a very huge impact on whether you will succeed or not, especially if you are a woman, because women have, and I say this genuinely, women have less room for negotiation in marriage. Truth. You can, for example, when I finished my MBA, I had an option to go to Singapore. I had a job of, if I was a man, I'd just call my wife and say, we're going to Singapore, pack your load. But how? I mean, you can't tell we're going to Singapore, except I say, look, let me go, then you stay with the children, then we bring them, work with the children. It becomes more, it's more complicated. It is, and that's real. And you have to understand that as a woman when you are entering marriage. So let me say this. First of all, I thank God. And I mean that genuinely. Ejimoko is not here today. He would have been here. But his very good friend, he lost his dad. His very good friend lost his dad. Dad was elderly, so it's celebration of life. But you have to be there for him. So he couldn't make it. But he's a totally supportive person. So we met in Uniben. Let me not talk about story. But anyhow, so the first thing, one of the things I'll say, I've already answered the question, how critical is it? It's very critical. Now, what are the things you should look out for? I don't have a secret formula, but I will say one is, when you are dating is to see. It is to see, it is to know. And you must look. A lot of people enter marriage, I didn't know it was like that. It is a lie. You knew. But you close your eye. You close your eye. why I'm saying this is because people enter relationships. I mean, in the office, this smart young girl up for promotion. She came and said she wants to resign, and I know. I said, why? Oh, nothing. And I pushed. My husband said I should stay with the children. There's nothing wrong with that. There are people. And look, I have friends that homeschool their children turned out well. I would say I wish, but that was not what she wanted. And I said, okay, should I talk to your husband? She said, don't bother. My mom, before I talk to him. And I asked her, when you were dating, what did you discuss? Did you not discuss, I will have a job? Did you have that conversation? That conversation is important. And a lot of people enter a relationship, they don't do that. So when I was dating EJ, he would come. I remember one day he said, let's go out. And I was like, I am working on a project. He came to InterSuite, he stayed there. I finished the software. When I finished, my boss said, this server we must deliver it to Standard Trust or Standard Trust Bank today. Then it was a massive server. We usually would hire a car. I didn't hire the car on time. I said, I can't go. He said he had a station wagon. He brought his car. We used his car to deliver the server. When we delivered the server, I said, now can we go out? So I'm just saying that is support. He showed me he was supportive. He would tell me things like, Oremeyi, how are you doing at work? How are your KPIs? How is your target? Are you doing well? This was before we got married. We had those conversations. So I knew for sure he was supportive of my career. Now, I'm not saying people don't change, people do, but people don't really change. People don't really change. Of course, things happen. So that's the first thing I'll say. I'll say, he's married someone that is aligned with you and is very accepting of who you want to be. So you marry someone that says you have a career dream, and you marry someone that says, oh, my mom was used to pick us from school and every day make lunch for us as children. I want my wife to make lunch for the children to come from school. That means you're not going to have a career. So it's okay, that's what you want. You say, every house help is a witch. So my house help will not touch my children, or my wife must take care of the children. But you want a job. So those are the conversations. You say, wait, what does that mean? What do you mean? No, we'll find the one that is not witch, or we'll go to a crèche. You will have that discussion. But a lot of times people don't have they assume it will go away. And that's what causes a problem. Another thing is marriage. People grow in marriage. I'm not the couple that got married. I got married at 24, 25. Now I'm 46, right? I mean, come on. So people change, and so you have to also be aware that as you are growing and you are changing, you must also be doing the balance right. I always say this: work-life balance is not every day. There are days you balanced well. I remember when Uche is not here, my second son, he's playing basketball, will have been here. I remember when Uche was 6 months, I got an opportunity to do a training in the US. It was a coveted opportunity. And myself and my husband, I was breastfeeding. Myself and my husband sat and said, we said, okay, go with Uche. He got a visa, so I got him a baby visa, but I wouldn't have been able to take care of him in America. I didn't have a nanny there. So my husband said, you know what? I said, we agreed. He said, okay, take your breast pump so you still keep lactating, but I'll stay with him. And we made it work. I went for my training a week and a half, and I came back and I was able to continue breastfeeding my son. That is what happens. We had to have that real conversation. He wasn't happy. He said, you're not going, let another person go. But I said, this is really important, very coveted training. Everybody wanted to go. I got chosen, So I'm just, and maybe I didn't write about that story, but just saying that as you grow, you also try to make that balance happen. It won't be easy, and it won't be every day. There are some days family takes more. There are some days the career takes more. But if you are able to wisely balance things eventually, I believe with an understanding spouse, things will come together. This is not a marriage conversation. Marriage is interesting. But I just want to drop those few tips.
Please, a round of applause for Oremeyi's husband. Because if he did not support her, I'm not sure we'll be reading this book. Or maybe we would be reading a book, but maybe not in this life. You understand? And this is very critical. I really do hope that my single ladies like me, that we are listening. Date intelligently. It's a business decision. ROI, IRR, NPV, check it. You don't have to calculate it. Come for mentorship. And because we started on this trajectory, my next question would be the fact that reading your story, we can see that you were greatly helped. You were helped by people. You mentioned your friends, family, sponsors, and they all played different parts. Like they had their different, even your mom, your dad, your siblings, everybody going to Cambridge, everyone. You just had a way of recognizing everybody, and that's very interesting. But for some people that are watching or that are listening or that are in the room, they're just doing life alone.
Okay.
They are doing life solo. And I really want you to share the importance of having a mentor, whether the mentor chose you or you chose the mentor, and why they should have a mentor. If you ever had a sponsor, we would appreciate that you also share, and how you attracted that sponsor, and the importance of really having a support system. Or I'd like you to speak to that.
All right. Now let me say, you can't do life alone. I think that's so obvious. Who will? We're not. No man is an island. All those things, we know them. Especially as you grow in life, you find out that when we say, oh, I'm a big girl, I know a lot, you find you don't really know that much, because everyday life is dealing to you different challenges. So I want to start by saying your support system is so important. I am honorably privileged, gifted by God to have an amazing family. I grew up in an amazing family. My siblings are here. So my siblings are here. Love you.
We celebrate. I appreciate them for coming. Nice recognition.
Just wait. That's my big sis and my younger sister.
Thank you.
The others will be here. So saying growing up with a support system is important, but you also have to take advantage of the support that is given to you. Now, again, I know different people grew up in different family environments. Maybe some people's families were not as closely knit as mine and all that. But I'll just say that God is faithful. God will always give you the support you need to fulfill destiny. I believe that. Sometimes it may be your nuclear family. Sometimes some people are singles, or they are single children. Maybe their parents passed. I have a friend, her parents passed when she was very young. She's an orphan, grew up with her auntie, treated her well, but they're not very close. Such is life. But she has some few friends that God sent into her life that mentored her, supported her. God, I believe, is faithful. He will always send to you the resources you need to fulfill, but can you see them? Even with siblings, some of us take our siblings for granted. So I remember, for example, when I wanted to go for my MBA, I wrote a bit about it, maybe not the full detail, but it was quite a emotionally turbulent, let me put it like that, plus financially demanding. My sister stepped in for me, because I was able to open up to them also and say, I have this challenge. Sometimes people don't open up. Sometimes people keep quiet. And for several reasons, my sisters stepped in for me. Even while I was in school, my children were here, my husband was with them, but my sisters would check on the children. Sometimes they'll pick them up for weekend. That is a support system. So I'll say, if you look around you, what are the support systems that are available? And I will say there's no man that has nothing. It is a lie when you say, I have nobody, I have no one. I strongly feel that's not true. Maybe you are not just recognizing, and why I'm very convinced that it's not possible that someone has no one is because I've heard stories of people that in this life they're alone, but someone will say, oh, but there's this man, there's this woman that just noticed me in school and picked me up. Case in point, my MD talks of his story. He was born, his dad was late, his mom was married someone else, but he says in his school, his principal just noticed he was academically excellent and he got his scholarship, and that was what kept him. So there will always be someone, but can you recognize the opportunity? That's one thing I'll say. Support system is very important. And then as you continue, sorry, second part of your question. You forgot. Go to the next. But I know you mentioned do I have a mentor? Do I have a sponsor? Now let me talk of a sponsor. I have a cousin, Wole Lawani. Wole is not here today, but Wole wrote, contributed, I think, chapter 1. So for every chapter, people I interacted with in life, or they contributed. My MD wrote the foreword. I have colleagues, bosses, even my MBA classmates from Cambridge contributed as well. My sister, Wole was my cousin that worked in Shell. He gave me the first leg into technology world. And he said, he studied engineering as well, and said, oh, and I said, oh, you studied engineering, so what's it like? And he said, man, what's happening now? IT, get into it. And when he told me that, people said, oh, where are you going to get access? And so Wale gave me the very first access I had to a laptop. During weekend, or long holidays, or there was one ASU strike, my friends would just be chilling. They would say, come over to Port Harcourt. And I would go, they would give me books, make me write code. He was the first man that taught me about SQL. And I remember there was one holiday, you say, you are not going back to school until you finish this, finish that, finish this, finish that. And I was like, what kind of bondage? Is it by force to learn? Is this, it's not even, I said, they're not even teaching us this thing in school. It's not even helping me. Why should I learn it? What is SQL? It's not in my curriculum. He now said, it's not what in your curriculum you will do. You want to be a dollar? You know, my cousin is nice, but he's very firm. But I'll say that's what helps me. So I remember when I was graduating, I said, I'm graduating. He said, what are you graduating? I said, a certificate. He said, you are only graduating with a school certificate. I said, wait, what did I graduate with before? He said, you need an external certificate. I said, what? So he made me write CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associates. Then, that was talking of routers and switches and how systems connect. I remember when I was reading for CCNA, people were like, why are you reading? I'll be reading. Wow, who sent you? Then he paid. Then CCNA was 21K. And man, that was big money. And I wrote CCNA in year 2001. And I passed. Wow, when I went back to school, all my classmates were like, Oremeyi, you're a CCNA, you're a CCNA. How? People that work 5 years are not even certified, you know? But that is what a mentor does, or a sponsor. Pushes you. I remember when I got into InterSwitch, I would call Wale, our very first database. They said, oh, we need someone that knows a bit of SQL. I said, I know, you know? And suddenly, I'll call Wale. I said, Wale, please, there's this thing, say, read it up. Check it here. Call me tomorrow. You know, he was very firm. But that gave me, so that's a sponsor. So there may be someone in your life that may not be the nicest person. It's not like this nicest matter. We have. But that person can tell you the truth and give you what you need. You need that person in your life. You need that person in your life. You go for it. Jesus was like that to Peter in the Bible. He will nudge Peter. He will rebuke him when he's wrong, but he will support him to get better. That's the kind of thing. So don't only be around people that are petting you and pampering you. That's not, you know, all you need. And I'm saying that to younger people, younger than myself. I believe I'm young, I'm still young, but younger than myself, because sometimes people like to dodge when people are hard on them. So that's about sponsorship and mentorship. Another person that's been a mentor to me is my current boss, Mitchell. Mitchell has been a mentor, and he has been there when he tell me, you are going to this department. I'll say, no, that's not what I want to do. You are going there. Trust me. And it will work. You know, you say, listen, these skills will help you. You know, leave this and do this. So having that also, you know, is a great privilege. Yeah.
And I think that this is very beautiful. I like all the analogies that you gave, but we also need to celebrate you for being a good mentor. At least you listen. There are some people that they will tell, they will shout, they will scream, you will somersault. They'll still be looking at you like this. So we really appreciate you for being teachable, for being meek and humble enough, you know, to follow through. And for people who don't have support system, you can borrow. You don't have to borrow support system, let me tell you. So I'm currently not married, and some of my friends are married, some are pregnant, and they give birth, and they're like, my mom said she can open. I say I can borrow you my mother. At least when she's with you, she will not disturb me small. And I'll rest small. So you can borrow support system. Another place where you can get support system is to belong to associations, communities. Yes. Don't do life alone. There's church. It's not after closing time, you just carry your bag and disappear and you say you don't see Destiny Helper. How will you see Destiny Helper? Please. You say you're an accountant. Do you belong to are you a chartered accountant? If yes, do you belong to a district? Do you join the communities? Okay, you are very successful, you have money. Have you registered at Ikoyi Club? Because your next big contract might just be there. Don't just sit down in your house. So just find ways to join communities and associations and all of that. Something very interesting also, ma'am, that you wrote in this book is you mentioned a lot about humility. You mentioned certain character virtues that people need to have. And I would like for you to just, re-emphasize that, because I think one of the things that we've seen with our generation coming up recently is people just want shortcuts. People want it very quick. People don't know that every dream has a cost. Every ambition has a price that they need to pay. They think everything should be nice. Just the way you mentioned, the way Uncle Wale was talking to you. Some people will run away and never come back again. So what are those things that what are those values that people need to have, such as teachability, you know?
Well, I think it's quite obvious. I mean, if they say what virtues, you need to be honest, you need to be punctual, you need to be responsible. But I'll say something that's really lacking here is you need to be in this. When I say lacking, that is being more and more played down or watered down, even becoming more and more scarce, is being real. You know, with social media, you put out a face and you have a profile and you look. I mean, I write a lot on LinkedIn. How everybody on LinkedIn is looking tempting, looking sharp, looking on point. But it's really important to be a real person. And I think for me, I like to tell people I believe I'm real. And that's one thing that has, I mean, because there also, I wrote about in the book when I was going for my MBA and I applied to Cambridge, I applied to Oxford. In my class, for example, in Cambridge, we had Olympians, people that had Olympic gold medals, you know. So, like, what do you have? You know, you have amazing people that have achieved. But one thing that scaled me through in my interview and kept me going throughout my MBA, because I mean sometimes it's to be intimidated when you're in such a wide playing field with high achievers. I always say, hello, I'm Oremeyi. I am originally, I am culturally African, and I believe in Africa. That's who I am. Nobody can take that story from me. And why that was powerful was because I was the only African in my class that came out from Africa. So there were two Nigerians, but one was born in America, one was born in South Africa. South Africa married a French guy, so she registered as South African French. But I was the only one that said, I live in Nigeria, I work in Nigeria, and I came for the MBA, you know. And so it was a unique selling point. So I remember there was once we had this project, and I think I talked about the whole global case challenge that we won. We went to New York, we met Bill Clinton, you know, we won $1 million, not our own. It was an NGO, we won it on behalf of an NGO, but anyhow, we shook Bill Clinton's hand, we took pictures. And how did I get on that team? They were talking of development. And they said, let's call someone that has lived in a developing country and can give us first-hand info. Who else? If I went there and I was pretending to be who I am not. I remember then I even had to come to Nigeria for 2 weeks. I sat with some companies that were doing investment in water systems. We had real interviews. I put that into our research. That took our research to a whole new level. We weren't just researching on the internet. We had real stories. Who else would have come to Nigeria to do that, if not? So I'll say be real. Don't pretend. Another thing about being real is be sincere. You know, if you are working in a place or you are running a project, let your heart be into it. You know, and I say this because I believe that's even how God created us. God didn't create us to hide. He didn't create us to be embarrassed about who we are. Jesus said you don't light a candle and cover it and put it under a bushel. You put it up. Let it shine. You know, a lot of times we want to shine in a different light, in a different person's light, because we feel our own light maybe is not the right color. But you know, that's your light. That's your light, you know. So I'll say be real. And that's why you see a lot of people these days are having challenges, even in marriage. Oh, how is this? Because when they enter, they're expecting something else. When they see the real person, they don't want to accept it. Or the real person refuses to emerge because you're afraid how the other person will reject you. But I believe that if we all accept who God has made us, that is the real you, there are things within you, Stella. Like when I heard first class, chartered this, I said, wow, that's amazing. But that's you. You are academically sound. That's your strength. Rock it. Tomorrow you want to go for a PhD, go for it. Some people cannot, but you can. Do you understand? So that's what I'll say. I'll say be genuine. Being genuine. Any employer that knows where he's going will never let go of a genuine person. Thank you.
Give a round of applause. That was very, very powerful. At some point, it's just like you were preaching. and I really like that because it's you. It's the real you. And your life should speak and your life should preach. And I like that you made reference to the light and darkness analogy because you also wrote it in your book. Yes, you did. I got that. A lot of things that you wrote in this book I mean, we need a retreat. This is a book that you can retreat with, where every chapter is like a very important segment. And I like that you mentioned the HALT challenge that you went for, and you know, your MBA journey. And there are lots of people who are here who want to do great things but are suffering from imposter syndrome. So I really want you to address that, because there were times where you felt it, and you felt it multiple times. And some people think that you can overcome imposter syndrome, but I think that at every phase of life where you get to, it will come up. So how did you deal with the multiple imposter syndrome that you experience? Because I know that there will still be others.
Of course.
And even as a moderator, every time I have to do something new, this is my first ever book review, I felt imposter syndrome, like, I'm not sure I can do this thing.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm here already, so it means it's okay to experience imposter syndrome. Nothing is wrong with it, but Oremeyi is going to tell us how she overcame hers.
Alright, so even when Mrs. Morgan was reading through the books they've reviewed, I was like, wow, see these books. What's my book there? They will now say, after all these books, John C. Maps, and now pick my own. Let me, you know. So that thought will always come. But like you said, it's just a thought. It's not your thought. Don't accept it. Don't validate it. You know, step on it and move on. So again, when I was, imposter syndrome is something that's come up, and it keeps coming, like you said. So I'll give, again, going back to the MBA experience, my MBA was 15 years ago, so it was quite a while ago. But then I remember I applied to Oxford and Cambridge only. And then I said to myself, Oremeyi, how will you apply to only Oxford and Cambridge? When you apply, I said, how dare you? Those big schools. Long and short, I got into both of them. And even writing my essays, and they asked me like, what is your greatest achievement? That's when I said, hey, they have caught me today. My greatest achievement. People will say I've flown a plane. People will say I have built a multi-billion dollar. I said, I now called my cousin Wally. Hey, I said, Wally, what's my greatest achievement? I don't have achievement. I said, what are you talking about? Why can't you say I don't have achievement? He says, really? He says, you are reliable. When he said it, I said, I felt insulted. Like, you just confirmed I don't have achievement. He says, you are consistent. He now started, look at your marriage. You dated your husband, you married him, you've kept your marriage, you are this, you are that, you are consistent there, you are consistent at your job. He said, you are consistent. He said, that is an achievement. That is a unique skill. He said, you will write it. I said, yes, I will write it. So when I was doing the Cambridge MBA interview, I submitted, I can't remember what I wrote. But during the interview, it was a 1-hour phone interview. And the guy said, the man interviewing me, a professor, he's get to a point, he said, tell me something about you that nobody else has. I said, I'm reliable. I said, I'm consistent. And I started talking, it's because I am genuine. I don't, and the conversation went on and on. Before I knew it, I'm expressive. I cried. That interview ended up being, it was a very touching, it was meant to be an hour, it was an hour and a half. And it was so, when I was done, I didn't hear back from that professor again, because you don't hear back, but I heard back, I got the admission. When I went to school, so it was a day, but he said, are you African? Are you the one I interviewed? He said for him, that was the most soul-searching conversation he had had. He said he went back to think. He said he met someone that was not afraid to be who she is. So I'm just saying that imposter syndrome, that thing that you are disdaining, that you are looking down on. Yes, I'm not an Olympian. I wish I was. I can't fly a plane. I wish I could. But what can I do? What can you do? That one, hold it. Don't look down on it. For example, I've worked in only one company. Do you know, in some areas that it can be a disadvantage? Yes. I have friends that have worked, again, classmates from my circle, because I'm very involved in my alumni, that have worked across continents. Because I married early, I have children. I couldn't work in China today, in Brazil tomorrow. I didn't. I like traveling, and maybe my next life, if there is, but I know there's not, right? I mean, on this side of eternity, you understand? There's none here, so this is it. So, but what am I saying? I'm saying, God, I don't have that. I respect people that have worked in 5 continents, but that's not me. Maybe I wanted it, but I didn't have it. But what do I have? I've worked in a company that is building value. I'm going to hold that. I've worked in a company that's allowed me to be. I'm going to hold that. I've worked in a company that allowed me to be able to balance, grow, and at the end of the day, I'm a good mom. I'm a good wife. I mean, I'm not saying there's perfection there, but I'm growing in it. I'm going to hold that story. That's my story. I'm not going to tell someone else's story because it's not my story to tell. So I'm saying that to you today. I'm saying that to say, it also syndrome comes because we analyze ourselves in the light of other people's stories. But let's stop that. Because everybody has their own to tell. You know, so just say yesterday I was looking at a friend's profile. Amazing. She's on boards. She has been on the board in the Netherlands, in China, and we're having a conversation next week. I just want to just learn from her. But you know, I was just saying to myself, look at her profile, really. Like seriously, amazing. But I said, let me still learn and see what I can glean. But I'm just saying, imposter syndrome comes up every time. Because my mom used to say, or my sister, Uzofi, she's not here. She said, there's nothing est about you. Like, you will never be the tallest, the smartest. If you want to analyze yourself like that, there will always be someone that has more. So don't do that. You don't have to be the est. Just be you. Just be you. Thank you.
Tell your story. Be like Oremeyi. Embody your story. Be real. You hot bread, say it. You are a Lapo baby, say it. You are a Nepo baby, say it. Own it with your full chest and tell your story, because your story is your advantage. Your story is your advantage. Don't want to be like any other person. Be yourself. Every stage, every season, every phase is adding up to where you are headed. So it's time for questions. Do we have questions from the audience? Fantastic. Please, do we have an extra mic, or I have to pass my mic? Just two. 2 questions, please.
No, 2 mics.
Okay, 2. Oh, okay. The man on the face cap. Please tell us your name and
just my name.
anything you want to tell us. We are happy to receive. Tell your story.
You've told enough stories, so it's okay. My name is Shola Lakone.
Nice to meet you.
The session has been awesome so far. I've been taking notes. I think I'm better than I came in. You mentioned multiple times about being genuine. So I have a question in this regard. If you are involved in a project that is making it difficult for you to be genuine, what would you advise?
Thank you so much. And I want to say that's such an important question. I'm not a HR expert or a career counselor, but I will give my reference, to the Word of God. I'll take my reference from the Word of God. The Bible says, whatever your hand finds to do with all your mind, your might. Do it, pour yourself into it. That means anything you do is a reflection of who you are. So if you are on a project that is making it difficult for you to be genuine, it means there's a conflict between your personal convictions, whatever they are, and this thing. And life is not black and white. It's not easy. But you must understand that you are more than you. You are a soul. You have a soul that you must preserve. So what people don't realize is doing something that conflicts with your personal conviction actually corrupts the genuineness of your soul. And you find out that you may still be there. Okay, so for example, there was a job I got. There were some job offers I got when I finished my MBA. There was one particular one. They didn't even interview me more. Just said, what do you earn at the InterSwitch? Times 3. You start from there. I mean, what do you want to discuss? Times 3. We will start. Meaning, if I said times 4, they will consider. When I asked what is the job, Now, when they told me the job, it wasn't inspiring. It looked, I mean, but I kept saying, look at the money. Forget that job. Good job, eh? I better take the money. You know? But I remember having conversations, long and short, is when I turned that offer down, it was difficult. But what made that decision easy was this. I knew that the person I am, I cannot work in a place that I'm not sold out to the vision. And if I'd taken that job, and yes, I'm earning that big pay, and I needed it because I took debt to go for that MBA. My husband sold his car, my sister gave me loan, I borrowed money, everything. All joy. I was broke when I finished. I needed the money. But if I had taken it, what would have happened was I would be in a job for a few years, making money, but not really being able to connect. And then you can say, do it for a few years and leave. Do you know what those few years will do to you? Do you know how it will change your person? You don't know. And then you'll now be doing recovery that you didn't have to do. So I said no. And that was the easy way. That was what made it easy for me to say no, because the money was actually distracting. So I will say to you, if you are in a project that's making it difficult for you to be genuine, I don't know the details, but you need to ask yourself, why is it difficult for me to be really genuine with myself in this project? And if it is affecting if it's conflicting with your personal convictions, I would say it's worth walking away. Your soul, your mind, your person, when the Bible says a good name is better than riches, that thing is real. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say.
Do you have any other question from the audience? Okay. And online, if you have questions online, please help us check. If you have questions online, we can take that as well. Thank you. Please, your name.
My name is Timmy. I'm 17 years old. I would like to ask for your advice because right now I'm applying to universities and I'm looking to do architecture. I've got some feedback from a few old architecture students that have passed through, and obviously they tell me it's very demanding, and I'm known my strengths to be like maths and science, but architecture is mainly looking for your creative side. And also in my applications, I'm going through university, I have to show that I've developed that. But obviously, I've been hearing about how it might be very, very demanding. And it's not looking likely in my favor, but I can still turn the story around. So what advice do you have on that?
All right, well done, Timmy. Now, when you say it's demanding, the truth is everything good in life is demanding. But you choose your own demand. And what will make it, so the fact that it's demanding, and people are telling you it's demanding, it's even good they are telling you, but I would say, if you connect with something you really want to do, the fact that it is demanding, yes, it may take its toll on you. So again, I studied engineering. I remember one night, we were reading, final year, we were reading. Then a friend of mine, she said, why are we doing engineering? Why don't we do something simple like accounting? And I'm saying that because accountants, who even asked us? If I was an accountant now, just make first class by sleeping. So my sister made first class, and she didn't even read. And when she said that, I looked at her, but my sister is an accountant. I said, what? That's what I say. I said, none of them are hard though, don't. But that's the perception that she had. What I'm saying to you, Timmy, is this. Architecture is demanding, and I know it is. Because I look at it now, it is not easy. I was thinking of it at the time, but when I consider all the TD drawing I ran. But if you really want it, thank God you have started early. You have started applying to universities. If you really want it, look at the requirements. And the requirements, what you can meet, but yes, with some change of lifestyle, maybe between now and when you apply, you may have to stop playing games, you may have to stop engaging some friends, you may have to start doing extra work because you just need to meet up. But if you really want to do it, you'll be happy. Because if you don't do it because it's hard, when you are 30, when you are 40, you will say, I wish I did it. Oh, I always wanted to be an architect. I wish I did it. And you don't want to do that. You want to live life every day, knowing you lived it to your full potential. Let me tell you what will really make you fulfilled is if you put in your best and you don't get in. But you know you'll be fulfilled because you know I gave my best shot. Timmy gave his best. I didn't get in, but you know what? I got this. But I am not feeling bad because I know I gave it my best shot. Right? So So I'll say don't step back because it's demanding. Yet nothing good comes easy. Nothing. Anybody that they clap for is because that person did something that's not regular. And regular means doesn't mean you should jump from a skyscraper, but it just means you did it in your own way. And if you want to do it, you find that you go in there and you will bring so much wealth to that industry because you came in with your heart. Right? So I'll say go for it. You may need to step back from some other pleasures to make time to meet up with the demand, but you will be proud that you did it and you owe yourself that. God will guide you.
Tini, we are rooting for you.
Say something.
Thank you. Tini, I just want to advise you based on the little experience I had. When I studied chemistry at University of Lagos, and that's semester system. So after a semester, you write exams. And then I decided I wanted to do something professional. And so when we were writing our final exams, I was saying that I'm going to go into pharmacy. And everybody in class said, what? Pharmacy? Are you not tired of 3 years of studying? Everybody was discouraging me. That you're not going to find it easy. And to make it more difficult, youth service, I got married. And then I had, a year after each other, I had 2 children. And then a week after I had my second child, I started pharmacy at the University of Ibadan. So it was very, very difficult. And then it wasn't semester now. It's a whole session. So when you're writing your exams, what you have studied for a whole session, you write in 5 days. So it was pretty hard. And then every day you do practicals. It's not the pharmacologies and this and that and that. So at a stage, I was telling my husband that I think I'm going to give up. After all, I have a degree already. And so he was encouraging me. I said, so it was so difficult, but I wanted it. And what I'm trying to say is, if you want it, don't care about what people say. Just go for it. And by the time I was graduating with 2 children, I had the best results in college. That means that if you really want it, you will study more, you will work hard, and you get the best results. And by the time I graduated, people were like, are you still doing your family? I said, I graduated last year. Oh, yeah, true. So go for it. Don't worry about what people say to you. Just focus on your heart that you want to.
Okay, there are 2 questions online. Stella, you want to? Okay.
Okay, we'll still take your questions. Yeah. So I'll read it the way the person wrote it. How did you deal with tomatoes? First question.
Alright. Okay, let me take that. And I think that the person is maybe talking of people that try to maybe suppress you at work. I always say as a woman, and I'm speaking as a woman, but I think this is relevant to or even male folk. There's a quote I came up with and I think it's nice. And I say that bias bows in the face of competence. It may not bow immediately, but it will bow eventually. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. I remember when I had this training, I started training in InterSwitch, and then there was this class that came. They came from one of the tough banks, Access Bank. When I entered the room, there were a different set of people. They came, very seasoned people from the first class. So it's a 5-day course on fundamentals of electronic payments. From the first day, questions. They were bombarding me with questions. They would now say, oh, you don't know the answer? Is it that you are not competent to teach us? Hey, when they introduce themselves, I'm the head of e-business, I'm the head of this, I'm the head. I said, hey, it is well. So the first day, then the second day, I had to do my clearance. So I wore my NYC uniform. So when I finished, I snuck in. I went to the restroom to change. I didn't know one of them saw me. And I said, she's a copper. What? She's a copper. How? My goodness. We have to call to change this trainer. We don't think she can take us. We don't think, So my boss just said, relax. Have you asked a question she couldn't answer? Long and short, they will ask me questions. And so from that day, I noticed they would deliberately be asking hard questions. Questions I saw in the syllabus. So I would take the questions, and after school, after class for the day, because as a trainer, you have to prepare the systems for the next day, but we're doing practicals. I will stay back, after preparing, I will read, I will check, and the next day I'll say, I'm starting with the answers from the questions of yesterday. They'll say, she's not dodging. Long and short, I finished that class. Some of them, the Jolowe was in my class. When I was done, they bought me a bottle of perfume. They said, Oremeyi, we tried to break you. We didn't break. Well, I'm saying that, you could easily cower and say, I can't do this. So that's just me. I'm trying to answer that question. People will always try to push you over. Not everybody, but there are some people that just will try to. People may talk down on you. So I remember again during my MBA, there was one time they were talking of something and they made a joke and someone laughed, said, oh, who laughed? Said, Oremeyi Akah. Someone else said, oh, she will laugh because she can relate with that joke because she comes from a corrupt country. Yes, someone said it in my class. Say, I'm not surprised she laughed. She comes from a corrupt country. And so after the class I went to the man. I said, oh, you say I come from a corrupt country. I said, but alas, I'm here today. I'm standing here and I paid fully, but I know you took a loan. And I hope you can pay back. And I paid in full for my MBA. I know I come from a corrupt country, but I've been able to achieve this and that. What's your story? And I left. So I'm saying there will be people that will always try to push on you. But again, I will say that bias will bow to competence eventually.
I like that response that you gave that man. The second one is, were you ever discouraged about a field project?
Of course. So when I was head of operations, operations, thank you. My colleague in the industry. There are days will come. I'll just be coming to the office. I'll say, God, let the one I see today not be. Let it not pass me. Let it not be too big. That was prayer point. And there were days, there was one particular issue that shook things, shook this industry. I remember. And I thank my God. God had mercy on me. But as a leader at the helm of affairs, it doesn't matter if it's your team member that did it. It doesn't matter if it's another person's team member that did it. But you know how everything must show up in operations. Operations is where everything manifests. It doesn't matter where it came from. It's like river, it will show up there. And I remember that period, it lasted for like 6 months. There was a particular reconciliation matter. At the end of the day, things calmed down, we were able to recover, but there was still that tint of, in your tenure was when it happened. So I remember during COVID, then shortly after COVID happened, and then during COVID was when we had the org structure change, and then I became head of customer experience. I was no more head of operations, so I was handing over. So that period I started reflecting as I was doing my handover, and that thing was like a burden on my soul. And I want to say here, never look, when something tugs at your heart, you think of a matter, every time you think of it, maybe something that happened 10, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, every time you think of it, you feel, don't gloss over it. God is trying to teach you something, He's trying to heal something, and give you, if you gloss over it, that thing can generate maybe bitterness, anxiety, or inferiority, or fear. Don't allow it. It is a seed. Don't allow it to grow. So during COVID, I was doing my handover notes, and that project issue came up, and I just started crying. And I was I was trying to write my handover, but I was breaking down. So that night I sat, everybody knows, I always say, know how you engage God. I remember I sat and I engaged God in the way I do. And I had my Bible, I had some scripture, and God started to talk to me. And I remember the story of Joseph. And he told me about Joseph. When Joseph was in prison, he wasn't bitter. There was nothing glamorous about being in prison. But he stayed focused. Are you only going to be happy when you are on the podium and people are clapping for you? Are you going to take this as a learning and take it and move? Yes, it wasn't the best. But are you going to allow it to swallow you? Are you only going to be able to show your head because people are clapping for you? What of when they don't clap for you? Will you take the learnings and move forward? And he talked to me, and a friend of mine, I have a friend, I didn't mention her in the book, but Tito called me, and she also spoke to me about something like once when she had the kind of demotion, but how she handled it, and eventually she soared. So I'll say that yes, I've had failed projects. But what matters is not that the project failed, is how hope you didn't allow your spirit to fail. There's a scripture that says a man's spirit will bear him up in the time of adversity, but a crushed spirit who can bear. your spirit is crushed, what will you do? Alas, there's no hope. It's in the book of Proverbs. So that's your spirit must be strengthened because life is war.
Life is deep.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for all the advice you've already given. My name is Toby. My question is, I've recently started a creative project, and in the beginning, the excitement and the motivation feels endless. When you've already achieved a lot, what keeps you going? How do you stay connected to work and keep showing up?
Thank you. I'll say motivation, inspiration is good, motivation is good, discipline is better. And I kind of knew, because you know how you start something, fire. Next thing, the fire will now vanish. You know, where is the fire now? You know, like in marriage, you know, fire. But what keeps you for 30, you see people saying 30 years anniversary. It's the decision to say this must work. The same at work. You know, there are times at work when you're like, you wake up in the morning, the same old, almost. But that thing okay, so for example, my team, I'm head of customer experience. We are planning customer service more, which comes up in October. This year, the theme is Mission Possible. We already have our thing. We already have, this year we have changed it. What we are doing is fresh. So when I was meeting my team last week, and my team, young people, you can say Gen Z, they're like, they're just like, when I feel they say, Oremeyi, your ideas are amazing. But that is what it means. It just means you must decide to reinvent yourself consistently. And that is what only you can do for yourself. There are days you wake up, you say, am I going to, I mean, you should know when your steam is going down. And I say, maybe you need to pick up a new book. Thank God you're in Laterna. You need to say, I'm going to pick up a new book. I'm going to learn. Sometimes I'm going to make a new friend. If all your friends are, you are the only one they are clapping for, find new friends. Sometimes you need to step out of your circle. So I would say for this your creative project, I don't know why you started it, or the steam that you started with. The fire may not be there now, but there's a reason you started it. So that's why it's very important. Why? There was a book, start with why. Why do you do what you do? Go back to that why. Is that why still relevant? If yes, forget the excitement and put yourself into that why, because it's worth fighting.
I mean, this has been a really soul-searching, soul-calming, delivering conversation. I'm sure so many of us are in different places. You know, say, there's one project that's been on my spirit that crushed me, and then it looks like you're in a therapeutic session. Please celebrate yourselves for being an amazing audience. And even those online, please appreciate yourself. Thank you so much for being amazing. So I see some comments say, please share the recording with us. There are lots of valuable insights and nuggets. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for that comment. This is an insightful session. Yes, this is really, truly an insightful session. I mean, we can go on and on. I like how you ended with, your response to him about, fighting for what truly matters. And, I mean, please, when are we expecting the next one? And because this is supposed to be like a movement, please can you tell us the initiatives that you're working on that we can support you? Because I'm sure that people here who want to support you in the things that you're doing.
So when I was writing this book again, I was like, I'm writing book. When people don't buy my book, why would they buy my book? So I do, in addition to my job, I mean, declared outside business interest is the fact I founded an NGO, Africans Build Africa, and we support people that want to go to school genuinely but don't have the funds. So but we always try to make sure they have skin in the game. So maybe we do 75%, they do 25%, we do 50%, they do 50%, we find a way. Kemi is my team. Kemi, hi. So Kemi, thank you. Kemi, you can call out. She says she's my PA, but she's my team member. Kemi, thank you so much. So so we do that. In addition, we run Scrabble clubs. Why do we run Scrabble clubs? We find out that a lot of people in less privileged, when I say less privileged, in Lagos here, there are some places they call private schools, but they meet under a tree. But they are private school. So my birthday is Children's Day. So on Children's Day, I usually say, who can I celebrate with? So one day we just stumbled, found one school on that tree. So we did rice, chicken, brought music. We're so excited. And I was like, we don't want to to just go like that. What can we do for them? We found out that primary 3, primary 4, they couldn't really read. So we said instead of just teaching, so we found a team that plays Scrabble. So they come and teach them Scrabble. Because when you are learning Scrabble, you're going to learn to read and spell.
Yeah.
So we do Scrabble club. So we do it we run it for like 8 to 12 weeks. In addition, every Scrabble club session, we put in a Bible study session. So they are still learning God's word. At the end of 12 weeks, they graduate. So we ran it the first year, second year, then funds ran dry. So one of the things we have committed to is all the profits from the book, and there's a video for it, we'll share the link. All the profits from the book go to funding the NGO. Right now, based on, we had the book launch, formal book launch was in May, we raised enough money to start off 5 Scrabble clubs. And today, Bukola is the NGO head of operations. She's not here because she's in 2 of those private schools. They have their graduation today, and the parents are filling out consent forms, committing for their children to start Scrabble club this summer. So we are helping them make better use of their time. They're not going to be just running around in their place. They are spelling, and at the next year May, we're having our first Scrabble club competition. Chrisland partnered with us the other day, even though they are privileged, but they bring their children to compete just to spice it up. So next year May, we're having all the clubs will come together for a competition. But we are starting Scrabble clubs in August. So you can support us. For every book you buy, it goes towards that. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Give a round of applause for Oremeyi Akah, for yourself and everyone online. Thank you so much.
She has so much fire in her. So, you're also starting in Laterna. Where is Cecilia? We are having a chess club this Saturday.
Okay, awesome.
So, we would like
Alright,
to partner with
Kemi,
you.
we'll see what we can do.
Yes, the Scrabble club. Yeah. So, I would like to hand over to the CEO of Laterna, Pastor Oremeyi Akah. Oremeyi, she has so much fire in her. And her sisters. Congratulations.
Well done. Good afternoon, everyone. Sit down. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure we've had a great time. Can we appreciate our moderator and our author? Well done, Madam Stella. I said this is the first time you are doing this thing. You must have done it maybe in your mother's womb or something. Your notes must have been released there because she's done excellent. Very, very articulate, and smart. Okay, I hope you're deploying all these skills somewhere. I hope in church or places like that. Because I pursue everybody to be a church worker. God bless you. Thank you so much. And then, of course, to our awesome author, very interesting lady. Can we celebrate her? I was at the formal launch of the book at the hotel, and it was really an awesome gathering of professionals within this space and within this industry. The first time I met with her was a number of years ago. Her husband, I think, had just started pastoring, and then they wanted to have an event in their house. Was it like Christmas Day? Was it Christmas Day or just before Christmas? Boxing Day. I said, who invites a pastor to come out and leave his family on Boxing Day? But I mean, her husband, if he makes a request, it's easier to just agree because he will pursue you until you are compelled. So it's rather than go through the process of going back and forth, just like, okay, pastor, I will be there. What is the time? And all that. And it was a great time. It was a great time, and of course during her presentation she was preaching from time to time. The anointing just came on her, so I would say, hey, preach on, pastor. And I've been privileged to listen to her. We moved to Tabernacle of David in September last year, and so we oversee the church she's at, and I think there was a program for the young ladies, and PYM was listening, and I said, who is this woman? She was just praying, who is this person? And she said, it was Oremeyi, and that's just who she is. She just recognizes who she is, the grace of God upon her life, no restrictions, no limitations. She herself wherever it is that she finds herself. Amen? And that's what we have been privileged to be a part of today. So congratulations, fascinating. an amazing book. Like you said, you know, there's some books that you just sit down for review, but then some books say, can we have a retreat? Oh yeah, I mean there's some books I come across. I said there's just too much that is in there to be able to download in an hour or two, yeah? So, I don't know, and at times people build training sessions around a book or something like that, and then it gives the opportunity to communicate the content that you have. I want to thank God for your life, your parents. I had the privilege to meet your father, Prof, and your mom was a librarian, right? Yeah. So she grew up in that environment, huh? And yeah, that's the truth. And the G5, that's what we call themselves. Our four sisters are here. Can you please stand where you are? The four sisters are all here. And once you see one, you have seen all. God bless you. And I believe a couple of the nephews are here as well. Yeah? Okay, yeah. Oh, really? Don't stand up where you are. Let's see you. Wow, congratulations. God bless you. So it's just been a great time. I want to appreciate them, appreciate our author, appreciate all our participants, all of you who are here physically, and certainly all those who are joining us online as well. I'm sure this has been a time well spent. Can't end without appreciating the Laterna team. Can we appreciate the Laterna team? And the driver for the book reading is PYM, my dear one. A lot of the time I'm not even around. Whether I'm around or I'm not around, she just drives it. She has a passion. She has realized the place of reading and the importance of reading, how it has transformed her life, her career, her leadership competencies and qualities. So she is very, very bullish about this, and that's why, you know, we are here. Okay, so thank you very much. And so they want more of you now. So is it you just come and do part 2, or it is when you write the next book? But we're looking forward to that. And thank you so much. So very quickly, I just want to introduce our next book. And I just love the way, you know, each of the chapters have been written. You know, at times I'm exposed to so many books, and so in reading a book, I like to look at the contents page. I say, okay, which chapter? And the way you've done it, I mean, there are, you know, singular lessons to be drawn from each chapter. So you can go to the chapter, there's initial content, initial comment, then there is a content, then the expert's view, then there is God's view, yeah? And then there are practical applications. And that's the way, you know, you can read. So I don't necessarily read from chapter 1. I can look, oh, what's interesting here? And when you have those summaries, I think Dr. Miles Monroe used to write a lot of his books like that. So you could just go and pick up, you know, what you can glean from the summary. So thank you for putting this together. We're very, very, very grateful. So very quickly, I just want to talk about the next book we're going to be reviewing. It's called A Journey of Change, Life and Professional Lessons in Resilience, Determination, and Passion. And it's by Mr. Kayode Adiago. About the author. Okay, he's a seasoned property professional with over 30 years of experience in real estate, both in Nigeria and in the UK. From little beginnings in property maintenance to refurbishment and construction, registered his company in the UK in November 2019. Passion for knowledge has made him attend several international meetings here and there. But it really just talks about his very, very humble beginnings. I was looking through the book. I think he wore his first pair of shoes in the village. He says he doesn't remember having a pair of shoes till I think he was 14 years old. So he grew up in the village, but the hand of God upon his life has seen him, you know, experience this amazing transformation and transition. So that's what this book is all about. So we've listened to yours, which is what? Your autobiography, and then also a recounting of the e-space, I believe. That's what it is. It really is that. I mean, you know, when you even go abroad, there's certain things that our banks here can provide. Alerts immediately and all that.
Yes,
Now the banks in the UK, and when you're talking about it, it's like, oh, what are you talking about? But it is as a result of the work of people like you and the organization and the whole Fintech space here in Nigeria that we are there. And we don't always appreciate what we have. Yes. We don't always appreciate what we have. But you guys have really established, you know, some great things on the continent and even globally. Huh? So maybe it's time you guys will go and set up in England. Oh no, don't limit yourself to Nigeria. Even our neighbors here, here as well.
Yes.
They're not restricted to Nigeria.
Not all.
Huh? They're not. Yeah. So maybe that's the next thing. I mean, our banks are traversing Africa now, aren't they? Some of them are going. So we don't have to just receive. I think there is the opportunity, and we pray that will be the next level for you guys. In Jesus' name. So once again, thank you very much for your time over here. I love the questions the young men asked. So all this grace, book. You don't flow to these guys, have you? No, that's great. That's great. So keep it up, and we hear your story in the years and the decades that are ahead. Once again, thank you very much. Laterna team, thank you. Everybody online, thank you. Look forward to seeing you at future events. Very nice.